Do you have someone in your life that you care for? Do you have friends that you regularly play Magic with? Do you have a healthy sense of what's fun and boundaries with your friends when playing the game? What if you had the opposite? Ladies and gentlemen, I have been paid for and tasked to create the most annoying and evil deck for someone's playgroup. I've also been asked to make one of the most fun low bracket Kefka decks possible. Full on chaos. Today, two of you paid me to make 10-minute deck techs on some nasty ideas. The first one we're going to show you is how to lose your friends the fastest. Yes, I was tasked with destroying someone's playgroup. One of their friends is consistently the most evil person at the pod, and they wanted to show them they could do worse.
Call an ambulance! Call an ambulance! But not for me!
So thank you to Aggressive Trash and Kage no AI for hiring me on Patreon. If you would like your own video, head on over to the Patreon. Now use all of your knowledge of Magic for a second. I want you to delve deep. Think of the worst cards ever. Ooh, Counterspell. Ooh, Mass Land Destruction. Ooh, Stax. Draineth Magistrate. You know, some real nasty stuff. Maybe some of you heard of Karn, Mycosynth Lattice. Turn all of your opponent's permanents into artifacts and then not let them be used by Karn. You see, that's just prison. The worst fate humanly imaginable is to be in prison and not know. But guess what? We're going a layer deeper. What is the worst possible thing you could do to someone playing Magic? Normally you would respond, not let them play Magic, lock them out, or maybe one-shot your friend at the beginning of the game so they're out and now it's a 3-pod. We're gonna go a layer deeper into this horrid place that I don't think many of you have ever heard of in Magic, so just get ready, okay? Some of you are unlucky enough to know this card, Send Triplets. At the beginning of your upkeep, you choose an opponent. You may then use their hand, play spells, play lands, as though they were from your hand. Oh, DevCat, you just made a deck that puts Send Triplets out by turn 2? That's not terrible, I've done worse. We're gonna make infinite copies of upkeeps so that we infinitely get to play everyone's hand and take infinite turns playing them, and the deck doesn't have a win con. We're gonna continuously take infinite turns and use our opponent's hands to win the game. Oh, and on top of that, we're gonna steal cards from their decks. We're gonna infinitely steal spells out of their decks. We're never gonna let them search their library. It's just gonna get worse, okay? Introducing how to lose friends in Magic the Gathering. And if this isn't your tea, we're gonna have a really fun low bracket Kefka list after this that's stupid fun to play. And if you have a horrible idea and wanna force me to build it and make a video about it, head on over to my Patreon and get yourself one as well. Without further ado, I'm gonna teach you 3 things about how to play the Lose Your Friends deck. 1, opening hands. 2, combos and things to consider. And 3, how to win. Speaking of how to win, I need you to understand this. The form I was sent on Patreon literally says the only form of winning in this deck should be concession. But ultimately, there are some other win cons in here other than concession just due to the fact of how it plays, so I will explain those. But opening hand. This deck should reliably cast Send Triplets every game on turn 2. Once you go down to 5 in hand, you can settle for turn 3, but realistically, this deck has so much fast mana, you should be able to cast Send Triplets turn 2 every game. There's an incredible combo of how to do this, and let me show you. Normally, you want 2 lands, 2 mana rocks, and some form of ritual. Often, I have a land, mana vault, and some mana rocks like the talismans or the signets, because we still need to get the full 3 pips by turn 2 plus 2 more generic for Send Triplets. Once you have found this soup that either gets out Send Triplets by turn 2 or turn 3, you want at least either one tutor or extra upkeep card, or if possible, a castable extra turn spell. This will allow you to consistently abuse your opponents with Send Triplets and dismantle their hands. Now, how do we want to do this? What are the combos? What are the consistency? So first off, once the deck gets running, you're on turn 3, you've done the thing, you've done the deed, your friends are catching on to how awful this experience is about to be to them, your game plan vastly changes. Normally, a Send Triplets deck maximizes having as much mana as possible to just play the spells in your opponent's hand that they wish they got to play. But we're doing something a little different. We're going to glean as much mana and resources possible from their hands to cast our own spells. Specifically, anything with an extra upkeep, an extra turn, or that stops our opponents from doing what we're doing. So, Opposition Agent, Notion Thief, anything that could draw them out of this train wreck they're about to be involved in, forcefully. And if your hand has none of those, you want to be searching your opponent's hands for things that do that. Eventually, you can set up a myriad of combos such as Isochron Scepter plus Mystical Tutor. You will use Mystical Tutor to get Nexus of Fate on top of your library. You will then cast Nexus of Fate, go to your next turn, copy Mystical Tutor using Isochron Scepter, and put it on top of your library to instantly cast the next turn. All the while consistently using your opponent's hands for more mana, more lands, more spells, anything you want. There are tons of infinite turn combos in here, and tons of way to do this. The big thing is you really want to set up 3 upkeeps. If you do that, that means you control all 3 opponents. At this point, your friends should scoop if they have any level of understanding, and then promptly ask you to never bring this deck out again. The idea is to this patron what Aggressive Trash wanted. They wanted a deck that could dismantle a friend group or punish someone for their poor play, or rude play, not poor play. If you're bad at the game, we're not gonna punish you, geez. How to win. Like we said earlier, normally it is concession. But the fact is, if you have infinite turns, that means you do have infinite combats with your commander. But the really fun way to win is play your opponent's turns for them by using their whatever you find in their hand, and then killing each other with it. I once used this deck to kill the rest of the table by using a Torment of Hellfire from someone else's hand. That's hilarious. So welcome to DefCat MTG, a channel where I don't just show you the deck list, I properly teach you how to play the deck. So that way when you play it, it's as though you built it. Now it's time for me to sit down comfortably in my amazing Ewin Racing gaming chair that you can get 30% off with code DefCat in the description, and support me by buying one, and go over every card in the deck so you can play this optimally. First, we're going to go over Planeswalkers. Teferi, Master of Time. Now, Teferi, Master of Time can actually be a severe win con in this list. Teferi, Master of Time gets to be activated on every single one of your opponent's turns, including yours. So within 2 turn cycles, you can easily ultimate Teferi. Then, if you find Chain Veil, you reduce the amount of turn cycles you need to ultimate him by 1. And the big thing is, if you read him, he doesn't say take an extra turn, he says take 2 extra turns. Often, this is enough time for you to set up one of your combos. The biggest thing too that people don't even think about, like, yeah, you're barreling toward 2 extra turns, you get to draw and discard every single turn as well. And I don't know if you know this yet, but this deck has no counter spells. The only countering we're doing is counterbalance. Yeah, we are full on aggro. So you're gonna find gas quickly. Teferi Time Raveler. So normally if you see this card, you're pairing it with Displacer Kitten. This would allow you to flicker Teferi and infinitely draw your deck. But again, we weren't supposed to include any win cons in this deck. It's supposed to be all about concession. So this is just here as a Grand Abolisher and helping you draw cards. And on top of that, it allows you to cast anything at flash speed. We don't want people messing with your turn when you're trying to go infinite, so we use this. Creatures. Sadly, Esper combo does not have any actual mana dorks in them, but we have something pseudo mana dorky. We have Blood Pet. Often what you will do, you will play Watery Grave, cast Blood Pet, and then next turn, Ancient Tomb Lotus Petal. You can use the Lotus Petal for white, the Blood Pet for black, the Watery Grave for blue, and the Ancient Tomb for colorless. And there you go, you got Send Triplet. Braids Conjure Adept. Braids is in the deck because sometimes we really need to cheat out something insane. Plus, if we have additional upkeeps, we can be casting things for free. And the big thing we want to put onto the battlefield for free is Omniscience. Braids is in the deck, so is Show and Tell. This is a way for us to spam Omniscience out very quickly and immediately win the game. Emrakul, the Promised End. Emrakul, the Promised End is a way for us to instantly take control of someone and literally take their turn. Not just get to play their spells, take their turn. Now that's fun. Grand Abolisher and Voice of Victory. These are effects that don't allow your opponents to play spells on our turn. That way we can't get stopped. Notion Thief. Notion Thief says if one of your opponents tries to draw a card, you get to draw a card. You normally want to drop this down before you try to go infinite. That way your opponents don't draw themselves out of the scenario they've been put in. Opposition Agent. Opposition Agent says when your opponents search their libraries, instead you get to search, steal the card, and put it down in exile. The idea here is that if one of your opponents tries to Demonic Tutor to go get an answer for what you're doing, you're going to be able to go steal it. So hold it back, keep the mana up, and flash it at the right time. That way it catches them off guard. Sakashima of 1,000 Faces and Sakashima the Imposter. These 2 cards are meant to copy Send Triplets, so that way you get the effect every upkeep. If you're able to cast both of these, you will then take control of all 3 opponents' hands on your turn and get to play all their spells. Super awesome. My favorite thing I've been able to do is steal someone else's exploration and then constantly take lands out of their hands. That was just hilarious. Look, I get it. I'm evil for making this, but I'm not the one who, like, it wasn't my idea. It was aggressive trash. Blame them. Spark Double. This is another way to make a copy of Send Triplets and get extra triggers on upkeeps. Sphinx of the Second Sun. Speaking of extra upkeeps, this is how we do it. You get an additional beginning phase, which means untap, upkeep, and draw. Sorceries. All right, the sorceries are littered with extra turn spells. I'm gonna read them all off. Allrun's Epiphany, Beacon of Tomorrows, Capture of Jingzhou, Savor the Moment, Temporal Manipulation, Temporal Mastery, Temporal Trespass, Time Stretch, Time Warp, Walk the Aeons, and to cap all of it off in the instant section, Nexus of Fate. We're going to be accruing such insane value and such insane amounts of mana from being able to take from other people's hands that this allows us to constantly do what we're doing at a mass scale and often allows us to take extra turns and or infinite turns. And sometimes you don't need infinite turns, you just need enough to close out the game. Then we have these horrible class of cards that let you steal cards from your opponent's libraries. We have Acquire, we have Bribery, we have Praetor's Grasp, Inevitable Betrayal, and Knowledge Exploitation. Again, with the main win con being concession, we have to be mean. We gotta be able to steal win cons out of people's decks to the point where they go, well, there's nothing I can do, I guess I concede. Instants. The instants are filled with lots of tutors and Cyclonic Rift, that way we can put things back in people's hands and then play them. Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual, we need the mana, we're trying to get Send Triplets out as fast as possible. And then Dramatic Reversal, which can give us unlimited mana by putting it under Isochron Scepter. The idea is that Isochron Scepter copies whatever instant is under it, but Dramatic Reversal says untap all non-land permanents, meaning we can infinitely untap the Isochron Scepter to copy it again and make infinite mana with our mana rocks, which this deck has a ton of. In fact, it has 15 mana rocks. Outside of mana rocks in the artifact section, we have Isochron Scepter, as we mentioned. We have Sensei's Divining Top, which combines with Counterbalance, so we can manipulate the top of our library and constantly counter anything our opponents try to do to stop us. We have the Chain Veil, which is meant to copy the activations of our Teferi to make infinite turns. And then Strionic Resonator. This allows us to copy a triggered ability, which we are going to copy Send Triplets. Enchantments, Smothering Tithe. Often, if you can get a turn 1 Smothering Tithe down, that means a turn 2 Send Triplets. Very helpful. We have Counterbalance, like we talked about earlier. We want to oppress the, opponents. Omniscience, which we want to cheat out using Show and Tell. This allows us to cast every card in our hand for free. And Paradox Haze, which gives us an extra upkeep so we can activate Send Triplets again. Well, sorry, trigger Send Triplets again. Okay. We went nuts. We made an evil deck. Thank you to Aggressive Trash again on Patreon. But I think it's time that we simmer down and we just play a fun Grixis deck. Introducing Shadow Wizard Funny Gang, a bracket 2 Kefka list that is all about just slinging spells, and it is only wizards, baby. We are full-on wizard kindred. This wacky-go-lucky list is all about hitting our opponents for things like Gutter Snipe, the new Otter Wizard Mage, Black Waltz, and doing complete manual storm and just pinging our opponents while constantly copying and triple activating a bunch of wizards' triggered abilities. It's so much fun. I always say activating, I mean copying triggers of wizards. You get my point. So if you were ever wanting to play a fun manual storm wizard kindred deck, you just want to cast a ton of spells, have a bunch of triggers, and not annoy your friends in bracket 2, then you thank Kage no AI for ordering this deck. So, opening hand. Your opening hand should contain at least 2 lands and a mana rock, or 3 lands, at least 1 wizard, and at least 1 draw and discard spell. This deck is full of cards that say draw and discard, and there's tons of ways to get spells back from your graveyard. And the best thing you can find in your opening hand is something like Stormkiln Artist, the new Assault Battery from the new Spider-Man set, Birgi, God of Storytelling, or Archmage Emeritus and Archmage of Runes. Either way, you'll either be pinging people, drawing cards, or making extra mana. In the end of the day, Kefka can always get you out of a sticky situation, as when Kefka comes down, he will draw you lots of cards and make sure the deck keeps going. So the floor on this deck, how bad it can be, is actually really high. It's almost impossible to brick with this deck. You're gonna find something good, because even if all you do is find lands, you still get to cast Kefka. It's bracket 2. Even if the worst possible thing happens and all you get is lands and all you get to do is cast Kefka on turn 5, in bracket 2, that's not bad. You're probably playing against precons or friends that are new to the game. You're good. Game plan. So the main game plan of this deck is to set up an engine in 3 parts. The first thing you want are wizards. And what do you want those wizards to do? you want them to make you mana and draw you cards. That means either having Kefka or any of the other wizards that draw you cards, and then something like Birgi, Assault Battery, Stormkiln Artist, Runaway Steamkiln, anything that makes you mana. Once you have that first part, then you want draw spells. Burning Inquiry, Frantic Search, Cathartic Reunion, Faithless Looting. It's chucked full of this stuff. And the third thing you need, block. You're gonna start drawing through your deck, and you're gonna hopefully find more pieces to this engine, either things that draw you more cards, make you more mana, or eventually, the last piece of this puzzle, things that deal damage to your enemy. That means Black Waltz, Gutter Snipe, the Otter Wizard, or Young Pyromancer. And the spice that glues all this together too, if you could find it, Harmonic Prodigy, and Varen, Voice of Duality. If you can find these, you'll start triggering everything twice, and at that point, it is impossible to brick. Trust me, you will win. And as I just said, how to win? Ping your enemies down, constantly cast everything, manual storm out, cast a ton of cool stuff, and then if you get a ton of spells cast that turn, we have an awesome finisher, Mind's Desire. Mind's Desire reads, shuffle your library, then exile the top card of your library. Until end of turn, you may play that card without paying its mana cost. And it has Storm. So if you cast like 7 or 8 draw spells in a turn, make a bunch of mana using your wizards, and then cast this, you're gonna get 9 free spells. And during that time, you'll probably ping your opponents with Black Waltz and other awesome things in the deck. So now that you've seen the deck, and if you want something as cool as this, go to my Patreon, order one. Let's get into the deck. Creatures. First off, we have Anger. Anger says as long as you control a mountain and it's in your graveyard, you get haste. So often we are discarding this to our many discard spells in the deck. And the most baller play ever, cast Kefka, discard Anger, so you get the ETB effect of Kefka, and then immediately tack in with Kefka. Super nasty, draws you so many cards. Archmage Emeritus. Archmage Emeritus is one of the best cards in the entire list, but honestly, I might say that like 20 more times. There's so many amazing wizards in this deck. Archmage Emeritus draws you a card whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery. Drawing cards is imperative to keep Storm going. And then something that does a similar effect, but also reduces our instant and sorceries costs, Archmage of Runes. Having both of these out at the same time? Yeah, game's definitely over. Baral, Chief of Compliance. So this deck does not run counter spells, but Baral does say that our instant and sorceries are 1 less to cast, which is insanely helpful. And we need all the cost reducers we can get. Birgi, God of Storytelling. So Birgi actually has a backside of their card as well, so I'll explain both. The front side says whenever you cast a spell, add a red mana. It doesn't empty from your pool until the end of turn. We're going to be using this with a cost reducer like Baral to cast things like Cathartic Reunion for just 1 red. Now effectively the spell was free because we'll pay 1 red, gain 1 red, and we get to cast a spell. And then if we have something like Archmage Emeritus out, we'll also be drawing cards just from casting. Yeah, you're seeing where this is going, right? Now the backside of Birgi is a desperation play, and I've never had to use it yet, but I can see why you would. If you draw a ton of lands in Brick, you can instead cast the backside of Birgi. It says discard a card, you can exile the top 2 cards of your library and play them until end of turn. The idea is you can discard 5 lands, and then you'll have 10 new cards to start going. Next is Black Waltz. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Black Waltz deals 2 damage to each opponent. This is often how we burn out the table, and copying Black Waltz's triggered ability using Harmonic Prodigy and Varen is a surefire way to win the game. 4 damage every time I cast a Lotus Petal? Yes, please. Next is Blood Pet. Grixis doesn't have a lot of ways to make extra mana through mana dorks traditionally, so I've included Blood Pet and Skirk Prospector as a way to make extra mana. Coruscation Maid? Coruscatish. I have dyslexia, and this card kills me. I don't. The Otter Wizard, as you've heard me even saying, you can copy the Otter Wizard for an extra 2 mana, which you almost always should. And now whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you'll do 1 damage to each opponent. If you have both, you do 2. And then if you have one of those things that doubles the triggers, now you're doing 4 damage. Super nasty. Dark Confidant. Dark Confidant is in fact a wizard, so I love the idea that we could do an extra triggered ability with this. That means we get to draw an additional 2 cards in upkeep. Yes, we will lose life due to the mana, but we're in Grixis. That's what we're all about. Come on. And the sister card to this is Keen Duelist. Keen Duelist does the same thing, except it also does it for one of your opponents, and it's bracket 2. That's perfectly fine. Then I have Defiler of Dreams and Defiler of Instinct. They allow you to pay 2 life instead of 1 of the mana pips in one of your cards. That way, if we haven't found one of our mana, regenerating or generating creatures yet, like Birgi, we can use this to reduce our costs and keep going. And then on top of that, if we cast a blue permanent, we draw a card. If we cast a red permanent, we ping our opponents. Yeah, we like doing both of those things. Next, from the new Spider-Man set, probably one of my favorite cards from it, Electro Assaulting Battery. Just like Birgi, it says whenever You have red mana in your pool, you won't lose it through steps and phases, and then whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, make a red. It's a little worse than Birgi in the sense that it says instant and sorcery, and Birgi is non-creature, but it basically functions the same in this deck. Also, if you've made an insane amount of mana, you can use it as a bomb. It says you can pay X when he enters the battlefield and deal X damage to a target player. So it only will take out one person, but if you have a pesky friend running dinos and they're gonna win next turn, Ureth Tormented Prophet. Oh my goodness, this card is busted in this deck because whenever you draw cards with your draw and then discard cards, you will exile 2 cards to be played till end of turn instead of just drawing 1 each. But be careful, if you run out of cards in hand, some of your cards do say you have to discard as an additional cost, and if you're unable to draw cards, Ureth basically bricks you, so play it at the correct timing. Ral, Moonsage. Ral makes your instant and sorcery cost 1 less to cast, and then if you've casted 6 instant or sorceries, and on your 6th cast, when you do the triggered ability of Ral, which makes you flip a coin, if you get heads and flip him over, you can instantly activate his ultimate ability. You'll exile the top 8 cards of your library, and then cast any instant or sorcery from the top of your library for free. And awesome card. Runaway Steamkin. Whenever you cast a red spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Steamkin, and then you can remove 3 of those counters to add 3 red. Super easy way to gain an insane amount of mana. Stormkiln Artist. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery, create a treasure token. This thing is gonna save yo butt. You're gonna have access to any mana pip you need due to the treasures, and you're gonna be able to cast an insane amount of spells in 1 turn, especially if you're copying his triggered ability. Last but not least, Malevolent Hermit. Malevolent Hermit is one of the very few ways to counterspell anything in this deck, but the good thing is we actually want to discard Malevolent Hermit. Then we can cast his backside, the Disturbed. It'll allow all your non-creature spells to be uncounterable. Take that, mono blue. Sorceries. I'm gonna read out all the crazy draw spells we have in this deck within the instant and sorceries because this goes nuts. We have Burning Inquiry, Careful Study, Cathartic Reunion, Change of Fortune, Faithless Looting, Ghastly Discover, Highway Robbery, Magmatic Insight, Romantic Rendezvous, Seize the Spoils, Tormenting Voice, Wild Guest, Will the Jeskai, Windfall, Big Score, Demand Answers, Electric Revelation, Faithless Salvaging, Laughing Mad, Thrill of Possibility, Tolarian Winds, and Unexpected Windfall. So you're gonna get to manual storm like crazy through your deck using these by making them basically free with your creatures and making you to draw them cards and pinging people all while doing it. Then some of our win cons, Mind's Desire, and Grape Shot, so when we get a big storm count, we can kill our opponent. After that, it's a bunch of rituals, Cabal Ritual, Dark Ritual, Desperate Ritual, Pyretic Ritual, and Seething Song. In our artifacts, very importantly, we have Ruby Medallion and Sapphire Medallion and the Fire Crystal in order to reduce costs. The best thing though, Fire Crystal has an activated ability to let you make a copy of one of your creatures. My favorite thing to make a copy of is one of our pingers, so we have to cast less spells in order to win, or Stormkiln Artist to make more mana. Well, that wraps it up for this deck. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I actually have 5 slots available for this. If you want me to build you a deck and do an entire 10-minute episode like this for you, go to the Patreon and get yourself one. I would love to make this a monthly series. Right now, I only get maybe 1 a month. I would love to have up to 15 of these. It'd be so cool. Thank you guys again for watching. This has been such a blast to make a video for you. But you know what's even more of a blast? Living life with the love of God. The most important thing in my life is loving other people with the love of God unconditional. That means everyone deserves all their human rights. We should love our neighbors, and we should do a lot of things for our community. Me and my wife consistently give back to our community by donating 10% of our income every month. Magic the Gathering can be a deep hole of spending all your money and not thinking about others. I encourage you, don't just spend your money on yourself. Go out, volunteer, be there for your community, especially through your local churches that have volunteering organizations. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a blessed weekend or week, whatever time this video comes out. And I am so appreciative of your support and love to let me do this full time. I will never take you guys for granted. I promise I'll never get greedy. Thank you so much for all of your support. Catch you next video.